But for a kid, I must say, in the US, one toy is gonna piss them off. You don't want grumpy kids in the house, and so you want to.
It kind of originated from a pagan background.
For the weather of at that time when we say Jesus was born, which is December 25th. If it was true and the weather had not changed or climate has not changed much, then it would be practically impossible for them to live like we described today during that time for him to be born where he was born in a manger, somewhere where it was not well insulated. The child would not have survived. So that was a good period, the season for slaves then to celebrate like enjoy some freedom temporarily and then before going back into full slavery. Already you have an event going on a yearly basis. So that's already a potential target for people you can convert or make them right. And so you leverage that. You don't want to go and create Christmas, for example, in June when you have an event in December. Wow.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Lost Lagosians, a podcast covering topics about Lagosians, Nigerians, Africans, as well as trending topics and challenges of Africans that live in diaspora. I'm your host, Brother Mike. Today with me, I have a dear friend of mine, Mr. Joe. I'm really happy for you to be here. I'm glad that you accepted the invitation. It's quite an honor. So how are you doing today? How's the family, and how are you guys enjoying the festive period?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just trying to stay safe. I'm healthy and strong because this is COVID time and again with Christmas activities around, it's a lot of hustling and puzzling around. So I'm doing fine. The family is doing fine. Thanks for checking. I hope you're doing fine as well.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. So what part of the country are you calling in from, just so our audience can know?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow. That's good. How is the weather down there?
It's pretty nice. Today we had about 56 Fahrenheit outside, so you had to wear like a sweater or something to go outside because it was a little bit chilly.
That's quite cold for Atlanta, I would imagine. What's the mood around right now? Especially, it's Christmas period. We're recording this about a week before Christmas for those who are listening.
Yeah, it's a good, this is an interesting time. You drive around neighborhood, you see lots of Christmas lights. Of course, not every home has that. People who celebrate Christmas, they have decorations, they have Iceman, snowman, and it's just fun to drive by with light and sometimes just I drive around with the kids just so they can see some of this because they see it on TV, they talk about it from school, and I was like, okay, let's drive around.
In fact, there are some places you can actually drive to whereby you just pay to get in and it's just like a ceremony of lights. So I'm not surprised about that at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Did COVID even affect Christmas at all? What I'm thinking about, again, I've not been able to go to the store to see anything. What I was thinking about is that, like with Santa and people sitting on Santa's laps and, and taking pictures. So now you have to be 6 feet from Santa, I suppose.
Yeah, that's something. Okay, that's the one part I forgot. I have not seen that. Yeah, that's the one. I've not seen a lot of. I've not seen Santas around malls with people sitting on the laps taking pictures like it used to be.
Yeah. So then also with some of the businesses impacted, I don't think there'll be that many Santas around.
No, and some of them unfortunately were affected by COVID. Some of them are in poor health. Like I used to follow that. There is actually a National Association of Santas. I don't know if that's the exact name, but if that's something, if you follow that, you will see some of them lost, some of them passed away because of COVID. Some of them are not just in good health. Some of them are just taking precautions because of COVID. So there is that shortage in human labor too, as far as that goes.
But taking this back home, like in Africa, I mean, what's the Santa experience or the Christmas experience? For me, I haven't been in the States for a long time. I don't it's not very common. Let's say that. Was that your experience?
Yes. So one aspect is the financial aspect. For example, here you go to stores, you have a lot of toys, and you see a parent with one kid. Kids have like tens of dozens of toys. Each kid, like based on what I've seen around from the people I know, each kid have dozens and dozens of toys. And so there is to get that some money is involved. And even for those who don't have money, there are a lot of charity organizations out there actually giving out toys for kids. There are places where you can go and grab toys for your kids if you cannot afford to buy them, because people donate them. Some people, if you can afford, you go get it. And then back in most of sub-Saharan Africa, a kid gets one toy, for example, right? In some cases, they don't. And sometimes, and then another issue is about the decoration. It can be expensive, bro. I won't lie to you. Like getting a Christmas tree, getting all the decorations, the lights, and all the things to do around. Those can be very expensive, and because of financial constraints, and so even for people who may or may not like it, in sub-Saharan Africa, they have that challenge of doing that.
So what I'm hearing you say is that the economy helps or hurts the Christmas celebration.
Yeah, not necessarily hurt or help. I think it's also a matter of culture. For example, in some parts of sub-Saharan Africa, specifically Nigeria, Cameroon, Ghana, for example, in some neighborhoods, in some areas, I've seen Christmas is about eating a lot of food, and then some kids have opportunities to eat a lot of meat, for example, around that season. And then I'm playing around, visiting, going to grandparents, and then that's a season also where some kids get the opportunity to have new dresses, or what they call Sunday dresses, or whatever you want to call it, and kids get new pairs of shoes. So and then there's also the cultural aspect, and so it's not necessarily a matter of financial resources. I think that was just one aspect, because think about it. Generally speaking, for a lot of the kids out there, they don't care. They don't want a dozen toys, right? But for a kid, I must say, in the US, one toy is gonna piss them off, right? If a kid here has just one toy, no, go to the houses of families you know, where you go to the houses of family people you know. You will
Yeah.
not find a kid who has one toy, right? They have a
Mhm.
couple of toys, so dozens of them.
Yeah, I remember people sometimes during Christmas, that's when they get, they have their Christmas dress. Then, excuse me, Christmas also been the point where people can give and people can receive. That culture in sub-Saharan Africa actually makes it kind of a festive period where everybody's in the mood of giving, and people promise people things around that Christmas area. They promise children money. And I said it was an economical question because if we're not making toys, or if we're not making Christmas ornaments, for example, then I think we have to import them. And if the economy is not very good and they're not able to pay for the duty imports and the tariffs to get these goods in, everything is all connected. So although I know cultural Americans probably would pay more to make sure the kids are happy during Christmas.
Yes, of course. You don't want grumpy kids in the house, and so you want to. I think you would generally because I think there's that cultural aspect too, and I would say a peer pressure or societal pressure. Think about it this way: that kids go to school, right,
Mm-hmm.
and they talk with other kids. They talk about their toys, and when they come home, they watch TV. They know what their friends have, and so if they don't have toys themselves, uh, they won't be happy. They won't have to talk about when they go meet their friends, and it could be sometimes frustrating to them. And as parents, sometimes we are compelled to buy some of those things, even when we sometimes don't want to do it. For example, your
Mm-hmm.
child will say, "I want this toy, I want that one, I want this one." Sometimes you just say, "Okay, I'm gonna spend 5, 10, $20 and buy you this one," because the child wants one. You also want the child to be happy.
So going back on the history of Christmas a little bit, it kind of originated from a pagan background. I mean, Jesus Christ was not really born on December 25. Primarily, you have the spring, you have the summer, you have the autumn or the fall, and then you have the winter. The winter is in December, and that turns out to be, when you have the shortest day of the year, and people celebrated that time because it's kind of, well, it is the end of the shortest day of the year and the days are getting brighter. So you have the four solstices: the spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Historically, the period of December being the shortest of the year. And just at the tail end of that, when days begin to get longer, was a period when people began to celebrate Christmas, the end of December being a perfect time for people to celebrate in Europe. Also, in reality, if you look at the Bible, when they talk about the birth of Jesus Christ, there were shepherds gathered out, and they were out in the field, the sheep. If it's too cold, as it is during the winter, that means Christmas would not have possibly happened on December
Yeah, I think
25.
you call out something that really stands out. For example, the weather at that time when we say Jesus was born, which is December 25th. If it was true and the weather had not changed or climate has not changed much, then it would be practically impossible for them to live like we describe today during that time, for him to be born where he was born in a manger, somewhere where it was
Mm-hmm.
not well insulated. The child would not have survived.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, and it's also worth noting that in the early years of Christianity, for example, Christmas, for example, was never celebrated. The birth of Jesus was never celebrated in the early days of Christianity. And in the Bible, for those who are very familiar with the Bible, it's difficult for me to quote. There is not even a day, there is no date that Jesus was born in the Bible. So it's for sure. I know he was not born on December 25th.
Yeah.
Because the
So
Bible itself does not say it. Early Christians did not celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ.
what they celebrated instead was his death, which happened to be in Easter. So Easter
Yes,
was more of a likely to be celebrated, not necessarily the
yes,
birth. Yeah. So I would agree with you. In Scandinavia, the Norse people, they celebrated something called Yule, and they started the celebration in December 21. And people would have this festivity of eating and drinking and getting drunk for like 12 days in a row. So they will start December 21 into January 1, January 2. And they believe back then, the Norse believed that this celebration represented the birth of the new year. So it's like a new year's coming. It's perfect time to celebrate. Let's celebrate. And the celebration started around the shortest day of the year in the winter. So that's kind of the historical context. In Germany, the pagans in Germany, during that same period of Christmas, the pagan honored their god called Odin. There's a god, the Odin god, during the middle of winter, which again falls around that Christmas period, which is December 25. The Germans are believed to be terrified, and they made nocturnal flights through the sky to observe these people of the Odin. Then there's something actually more important that was going on in Rome. It's called Saturnalia, which is again Saturn. So this is a god. Back then, there were famine. So when there's a lot of food, people tend to enjoy the festivity. So they had a holiday in honor of the agricultural god, or the god of agriculture. So they celebrated this god of agriculture when there was plenty. The name of that god is actually Saturn. So it's Christmas was celebrated in honor of Saturn. And they made this full month's festivity again right around the shortest day of the year, around winter solstice, and they continued for a full month. This is a time of hedonism. People were drinking and just lavishing and doing all kind of interesting things. It was also a time when slaves were able to be released for a temporary time back in the Roman Empire, and slaves were treated as equal with the free people. Then after the end, they go back
well,
and
that's
became
interesting.
slave
Wait,
again.
so so
Go
so
ahead.
so that was a good period of season for slaves then to celebrate, like, enjoy some freedom temporarily, and then before going back into full slavery.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't know, the way you say it doesn't sound good. So
No,
imagine
it
you're
doesn't
like,
sound good. Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
yeah, you're a slave and get this 1 month whereby you honor this god, this pagan god Saturnalia, and then you just kind of enjoy, and then you go back into slavery. Also around that time, the Romans, they also observe another feast called Juvenalia around that time. Again, this is they celebrated the birthday of Mithra, and it's called the god of the Unconquerable Son. Actually, that's when they officially picked this December 25. December 25 was celebrated, just for this god of the sun.
Yeah.
And it was believed that the god of Mithra is a god born out of a rock. And this was the most sacred day of the year. So December 25 was the day the Romans, they really, they don't mess with December 25.
Yeah, I think if my history is right, I think it was Pope Julius the First or something, who chose December 25th as a Christmas day. And I think if I can recall, well, sometimes around the 17th century, Christmas was even cancelled in some parts of Europe because there was
Okay.
some
Did not know that.
issues. Yes, Christmas was actually cancelled in the 17th century, somewhere around Europe. I know in England, for example, because a bunch of reforms were going on around, changes in religious reforms. So
The
Christmas
Catholic,
was
that
one.
might have been during the, what's the name of that guy? Martin Luther King.
Yeah. No, no, that was before that time, I think.
Oh, that was
So,
before. Okay.
yes.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So there were some so Christmas was affected. I don't remember exactly the names of all the leaders or the politicians, the religious leaders
Why would they
involved in the event.
cancel? I mean, right now, there's a cancel culture. So we want to be careful about that. So I'm
And I think
wondering why they will cancel Christmas.
yeah, I think it was back then, from what we hear from history, there was a lot of fighting issues. The church had a lot of authority back
Oh,
then, for
wow.
example, as you know.
So they were kind
And
of doing excessive, or they were going crazy, or
yeah,
getting drunk, or
yeah.
maybe,
So
maybe
this is
doing bad stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
It became a holiday in the United States in 1870.
It was, I think, the 19th century. Yes, that Christmas became like a big deal.
I think it makes sense, though, that the church would have canceled Christmas, because from a lot of the historical context I've read, the reason why they made Christmas a Christian thing was because the church wanted to ride on the festivity of the period. So imagine there's a holiday for the god of the sun, and then the missionaries were going out. They are replacing some of those pagan religions with
Yeah.
Christianity. So they just have to
So
adopt Christianity to match.
yeah. So for me, sometimes I look at these things from a business perspective, right? For example, when you have a product or service, you want to have the biggest market and the least opportunity you have, you take advantage of that. So already you have an
Yep.
event going on a yearly basis. So that's already a potential target for people you can convert or make them right. And so you leverage that. You don't want to go and create Christmas, for example, in June when you have an event in December. Wow, you could just use that. Think about it today. If you
Yeah.
have a business today, you want to sell, you want to share flyers, where do you go? You go to events. That's where you will see people. So if there's already an event, in this case, that was celebrated, call it pagan worship or whatever, or pagan activities. And so they're like, okay, let's take advantage of that and spread the word that we want, and that may help us at least get some Christians.
It will help you get some publicity, I guess, and
Yes,
to
exactly.
spread it. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Even though technically, of course, I don't know when the religious groups agree on that Jesus was actually born. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, if Jesus was born in June, but then you have this festivity that you guys have been celebrating for 2,000 years in Rome, and then you are trying to spread Christianity. Why would you create a new holiday in June if you can just merge the holiday in December that the pagans are celebrating the sun, or they are celebrating the god of agriculture? Why not just match that with your Christianity, and then hopefully maybe you can get some people to be converted into Christianity, and then the economy is already booming. They are shipping liquor from all over the country. People are enjoying and having a nice time. So just kind of mix it all together. And that's how we have the celebration of Christmas at this time of the year. Also, with winter being a cold time, and the shorter days, it kind of makes a lot of sense from a historical context. And again, you mentioned earlier that they canceled the church, canceled Christmas. And I think that might have been during the era of the Puritans, because the Puritans were like, this is not what we're about. Maybe they are more about Easter, which celebrated the resurrection of Jesus Christ, not necessarily the birth of Jesus Christ. So they canceled that for like a period of time. But then you have World War II, World War I, the Industrial Revolution. So it kind of makes sense.
I think Jehovah's Witnesses are one of the Christian groups who openly say Jesus was not born on December 25th. They clearly say that. I think because you mentioned earlier about you don't know what the religious organizations agree or disagree on, but Jehovah's Witnesses for sure, Jesus was not born on December 25th. And that's one reason why you will not see them celebrate Christmas as well.
I don't know if the Mennonites or the Amish or the other people, I'm not sure if they celebrate Christmas or not, but it'd be interesting to kind of explore that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Thank you for your time. It's been an honor to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good rest of the year, and hope you stay safe. Yeah, so thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much. Right. So that does it for us on this show, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. We're now on YouTube. You can feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Lost Negotiations on YouTube. Feel free to comment, share, subscribe, and like. I wish you guys a happy holiday and Merry Christmas for those who are Christians, and Happy New Year in advance. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks. Bye.